This is LXBN TV, and I'm Colin O'Keefe. Just this past week, the Cybersecurity Act of 2012 failed in the Senate. To explain why the act fell short and what the United States needs to do on the cybersecurity front, we bring in Stewart Baker, former General Counsel of the National Security Agency, the first Assistant Secretary for Policy at the Department of Homeland Security, and now partner at Steptoe Johnson, where he's an author on the Stepoe Cyberblog. Stewart, first off, in plain terms, why in your mind did the Cybersecurity Act of 2012 fail in the Senate?
So it's always hard to pass important legislation that doesn't have major political appeal in the middle of an election campaign. So this was always going to be hard. And then what made it harder was that two groups decided that they wanted to kill the bill. Privacy groups on the one hand decided late, but nonetheless decided that they were going to campaign against the bill. And the Chamber of Commerce and some other businesses decided to mount a very aggressive campaign to stall the bill, hopefully kill it from their point of view.
Interesting. And then second, how do we arrive at a necessary compromise on this? Or where do we even go from here now? Is an executive order possible?
Compromising our way to something that everybody is willing to sign up to is probably not going to completely solve this problem. It is possible to find a compromise here, but probably not a compromise that is going to address the significant vulnerabilities that we face. I think that's particularly true as we've watched the Homeland Security Committee, Senator Lieberman, Senator Collins, try to compromise with the chamber, try to compromise with the privacy groups. When they were done, they had a bill that frankly is only a modest improvement on current law. It's an improvement for sure, but it came with a lot of disadvantages. This is why I actually think that an executive order may be in the offing. From the president's point of view, he gets to say, Congress is gridlocked because of special interests. I can't wait. I'm going to protect the American people with an executive order. And the executive order probably does a lot of the things that were written into the legislation, because anything that was really controversial or mandatory or demanding on the part of the private sector or privacy groups was negotiated away in the course of the last several weeks.
I see. And then finally, what do you personally believe the United States needs to see as far as cybersecurity protection? And if we don't see it, what could potentially happen?
Let me flip those. What could happen is that we could find ourselves losing at the hands of a hostile power, and it doesn't have to be a big one, losing access to power, to natural gas, to refineries, to water and sewage. All of those things run on industrial control systems that were never secured, never meant to be accessible on the internet, and are almost impossible to secure without a complete revision. Foreign governments see that vulnerability, and if they're sufficiently determined to keep us out of a particular issue or part of the world, they will use that to attack us. They'll be cautious about it. They'll pretend to be terrorist groups. They'll perhaps only do some things and not others. But this is a weapon that they can use against us and will. The Iranians are not bad at this kind of thing, and you don't have to be very good to cause a lot of pain. So the real risk is that we could find ourselves at a big disadvantage, hurt at home because of our foreign policy and our military policy in a way we haven't been since Pearl Harbor. So that's the risk. What's the solution? The solution really requires that people who use industrial control systems substantially modify them and implement a great deal of security that currently is inconvenient, interferes with achieving the missions that they've set for themselves, poses a risk of an interruption of service. There are some real costs to improving security, but I'm afraid that the cost of not improving the security is that we're at the mercy of every tin pot dictator around the country, around the world, who wants to cause us pain in order to keep us out of his business.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very important issue, and I think one that it's hard for the American people to grasp because it almost seems almost out of science fiction, but it's something that's very, very real, and it's something that I think we need to pay closer attention to going forward. Well, once again, that was Stewart Baker, partner with Steptoe and Johnson, and author on the firm Stepoe Cyberblog. For more of Stewart's insight, be sure to visit SteptoeCyberblog.com, and he also authors his own blog, found at skatingonstilts.com. For more LXBN TV interviews, visit us at lxbn.lexblog.com. Thank you, Stewart.
Thanks, Con.